Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the Acrobrat frame from Rotor Riot. This is designed by Ummagawd, or Tommy. And this is a 3-inch freestyle frame, and you can kind of see in this little explosion diagram, the design elements here. 3 sections for your 20 by 20 stack. You got a bunch of these grommets that will dampen vibration, because it's meant for the Runcam Split Mini, which actually suffers from jello because it is a CMOS camera rolling shutter problem. So you got grommets here, grommets for the camera, and this kind of unique design here for the bracing. Kind of reminds me of the Massive Droner and the El Camino kind of cross, but yeah, this is all the parts here. It comes in a nice very nice packaging. Let me get all this stuff out and we'll take a closer look at all the little pieces here. They look pretty clean. Okay, so in the packaging, here's a little note here about this first batch of Acrobats. There's a bunch of these bushings or grommets that will basically you can basically use different ones that have different densities for your setup, so it'll dampen motor and prop vibrations. So you're gonna probably need different ones based on what kind of a motor and prop you're using. So that's why they provide a whole bunch of these, and that's what these are. I'm not sure which ones are which. I can probably tell by just squeezing them. You have the black ones seem to be the most dense, and you have the blue, the red, and then the white. The white seems to be the least dense, but I think these are the ones they're going to use to mount the cage to the frame on these little hooks here. And then you have another set of grommets or bushings here that are for the camera mounting. You get this the Ummagawd pad for your battery. It's going to be a top mounted battery. And here's all your hardware. You get this nice knurled standoffs, M3, you get some M3 screws, you get some M2 screws, different lengths, some washers there, some M2 nuts. Okay, so it looks like they have this little piece here. I think this is the top plate, and the battery strap's already in there. I think this then goes through the other side like so, and then you can then strap your battery down. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, they already have this part actually connected on one side, so this should be interesting setup for this. Got these two side plates, and obviously this top plate goes in here into the slot. I'm going to use these standoffs in these M3 holes to form a cage, and I think those bigger bushings go in here, and then that goes onto the frame like so. So you can't really see that, so just imagine the bushings in there. That's how the top part of the frame is going to get vibration dampened from the motor and prop vibrations. And it does look like the frame itself is completely symmetrical, so there's no indication as to which way is front or back or top or bottom. Carbon itself is very clean, no carbon dust, and every edge has been sanded down. A little bit of carbon dust there. So there's no sharp edges. That's pretty nice. So whoever they're using for their machining is doing a pretty good job. And the motor mount holes, I believe, are 12 millimeters only. So you're not going to be able to use the smaller 9 millimeter motors on this one. So this is really meant for a larger setup. If you look at the size of this frame compared to another one I built recently for the Split Mini, this is the iFlight RC IH3. We just lay the Acrobat on top of this. You can see that it's quite a bit bigger in terms of the motor to motor distance, which actually I should probably give you some measurements on those. So the motor to motor distance is coming in around it's about 163 millimeters. Side to side is about 115 millimeters. And the front to back is also about 115 millimeters, so it looks like it's a true X frame. The thickness of the bottom plate is coming in at 3 millimeters. And the two side plates are coming in at about 2 millimeters.
A few moments later.
Okay, so I just quickly put this together. Just want to show you guys what this looks like and also give you a weight measurement. And it's a fairly hefty frame. I think this is, I'll give you a weight measurement here in a second. I think this is really meant for a heavier setup versus something like the El Camino, which was a pretty light frame. and I can go with some lighter motors. I think I'm going to have to go with some pretty beefy motors in this one, at least a 1407. I don't think I would recommend going to like a 1404. That might not be enough power for this. But yeah, it's a pretty simple build. You just put grommets here and the side plates, and then you slide that in to the notches on the main plate, and I can this basically just floats the top and actually gives it a little bit of give and it dampens the vibration. And then you just put the standoffs in. There's I think there's 5 standoffs, screws in on each side, then 3 screws, and this top plate here that the Ummagawd grip is actually covering, and then you're going to run the other side of this battery strap up through here, and then down through here, and then around. That's going to give you plenty of battery strap for probably, I would imagine you probably want to so the range of the battery, probably want a 4S 550 at the lowest, maybe 450, and then if you want to go long range with longer flights, maybe an 850. Might want to go too much heavier than that. The pattern here for the bottom, obviously you have 3 stack mounting. So the first one here in the front is going to be for your run cam split, the 2 boards for that. And then those are M2 holes, and then the center here is going to be for your ESCs and your flight controller. So for those of you guys that are worried about your gyro not being centered, this design handles that. And these are some M3 holes, it looks like. Might be bigger. Maybe could use some grommets here for vibration dampening of the flight controller stack. That could be possibly why that's bigger. I think these are actually M4 holes. So maybe there's some grommets in there for these holes. And then in the back here, more M2 holes for the last board, and I think in the design this is going to be for something like the video transmitter, and then you can put your receiver back here too, say something like a long range receiver. And speaking of a long range receiver antenna, it'd be kind of nice to have something back here, like a 3D printed part perhaps, that you can attach to one of these standoffs, so you can put your long range antennas back here. I'll have to figure out something, probably just use some zip ties, but maybe for a future revision, a 3D printed part back here would be nice for like a crossfire receiver antenna, maybe the Immortal T somewhere back here to hold that in place. Because I would rather have it sticking up and out. I know that some people do it like kind of right here at the base, but I would prefer it actually coming out away from the frame, and then you can have your T antenna back here somewhere. So a 3D printed part might work pretty good over here for something like that. You just would just screw right in here, so it actually worked out pretty good. Now the distance between the side plates here, it's going to be a little bit more than your 19 by 19 camera size. It's 25 millimeters, and that's for the extra space needed for the grommets, for the vibration dampening. Normally on a lot of these microframes, this space here is going to be for the camera. It's only going to be like 19 or 20 millimeters. Obviously, if you want to mount your camera here without the grommets, that's probably not going to be possible because you need something to fill in that space. So that's what we're going to be using all these grommets for. Okay, so here's the weight measurement, new electronics, and we're coming in at almost 60 grams. So yeah, it's a pretty beefy frame. It did feel kind of heavy in the hand. And just to give you some perspective, this last build I did also with a Runcam Split Mini, but this one has some DYS 1404 motors. This frame was 39 grams. So yeah, it's about 20 grams lighter than the Acrobrat frame. So I think you're definitely going to have to go with some bigger motors for this one here. Definitely have to look at some 1407s, 1408s. And if you really want to go for some power, if you want to do some racing, maybe some bigger, but I think a 14, I could probably go for like an HDLRC 1407, 3600 kV motor. It's going to be a good balance of power and flight time. And if you're going to do long range, something like that, you're going to need a little bit of a lower kV anyway, so a 3-inch, maybe a lower pitch prop on 3600 kV should give you a pretty decent flight time on this. But in any event, that's going to conclude this video. Obviously, I'll have a build video, flight videos down the road, because this is, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in this frame. Very nice design. I actually like I'm very impressed by it overall. The thought that went into this, and the fact that they've gone to a lot of trouble here to do a lot of vibration dampening for the camera, which I know that a lot of you guys have been flying the Split Mini. That's been yeah, that's been a problem. Getting good footage that doesn't have a lot of jello in something that's a micro size and a 3-inch prop. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I'll have more down the road, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.